The Africa Health Agenda International Conference 2025 has united top leaders and innovators from around the world at a moment where the future of Africa financing has been thrown into panic. With funding gaps widening and economic pressures mounting, the big question is, how will Africa sustain its healthcare systems? To unpack this, we sat down with experts from leading organizations to unpack and break down the challenges, the opportunities, and the game-changing solutions.
This AHIC 25 was driven by the spirit of seeing what Africa can do in view of the geopolitical changes which are going to affect development assistance, in view of rising non-communicable diseases in the face of an existing infectious disease burden, but also in view of disparities in gender equity, where women cannot access reproductive services because of patriarchy, because of social and cultural norms. And the overriding message is there is need to redesign the health systems to ensure that the future, which includes the risk of climate change through global warming, is well prepared for by the health system. That the health system we need tomorrow is not the health system we had yesterday. And the overriding call is we need government to take this opportunity not to waste a crisis and to reform the health system, take care of all the issues arising, including youth, adolescent issues, mental health, family planning as a foundation for socio-economic development.
But here's the elephant in the room. Africa's health systems rely heavily on foreign funding. What happens when that funding dries up?
I think the world today is dominated by finance. So if you have your finance, you get your independence, and then you can speak loud about your own issues. In the global health architecture today, the health priorities from Africa may differ a lot from the health priorities of the rest of the world. But the thing is, if the rest of the world is the one mainly financing your priorities, it would never come high on the agenda, definitely, because they will always prioritize. I think I'm not blaming anyone here. It's natural. It's the human behavior. It's natural.
Ownership, prioritization, and independence. These are the keys to Africa's health sovereignty. But how do we get here?
Africa must own its health system. Some people call it health sovereignty. Africa, therefore, needs to fund its own health system. We need to ensure that we develop the 21st century health system for Africans. That is integrating technology, making available the latest technologies, especially medicines and diagnostics in our systems. It is possible. So at a time like this, we are reflecting, what do we do differently? And this meeting did consider that.
But here's another storm on the horizon: climate change. Africa, though contributing the least to global warming, is bearing the brunt of its impact.
Africa is one of the regions of the world that is most affected by climate change and has contributed least to the causes of climate change. And we really need more evidence from the continent to help guide decision makers on where to most effectively invest in order to protect people's health. Because health systems in this region are already stretched, they can't cope with the existing burden of disease, and that burden is only going to get worse with climate change.
The challenge? Silos. Ministries working in isolation. But climate change doesn't respect boundaries. It's time for collaboration across health, agriculture, infrastructure, and more. Only then can we build resilience and protect our people.
So there are a number of gaps. First of all, the way society is organized is people tend to work in silos. So you've got the Ministry of Health, which works separately from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Infrastructure. But when we have climate hazards, they affect all those different sectors. So a flood, for instance, might lead to erosion of the roads. is the responsibility of the Ministry of Infrastructure. It also might affect the way water is draining. It might lead to pollution of the water, which affects the Ministry of Water. It might lead to crops that were growing being eroded and killed, which then affects the Ministry of Agriculture. It reduces food supply, and so then people might end up with malnutrition or reduced access to food. You might also end up with cholera outbreaks as the water and sanitation system is contaminated as a result of this single flood.
The message is clear. Africa must take charge of its health destiny. From reforming systems to prioritizing resources, from breaking silos to embracing innovation, the time for action is now, and the world is watching.
Despite everything we are seeing is bright. We have the youngest population on Earth, so the future of the world is in Africa. You can hear many negative speeches and so on, but the future of the world is in Africa. We have the youngest population on Earth, and we have to bet on that.
AHIC 2025 has set the stage. The challenges are immense, but so are the opportunities. With unity, innovation, and a shared vision, Africa can build a health system that not only survives, but thrives. The question is no longer how will Africa sustain its healthcare systems. It's how can we all be part of the solution. For Willow Health, my name is Yvonne Kawera.